Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video we are talking about Monster Hunter Rise, and I am joined by the boy Paradise.
Glad to be back for another one.
Yeah, what are we talking about today, Paradise? What is the topic of conversation?
Today is a skill that people have been sort of misinformed about, I think, due to some maybe translation issues or something. But this one is going to be the Wirebug Whisperer skill.
Definitely. So Wirebug Whisperer is one that affects, as in the namesake, your Wirebug usage and skills and everything in between, essentially. So if we go to the equipment box, I'm going to show you a description of the actual skill so you guys can see and read through that. Always forget how to exactly click on the actual skill, but here you go. So level 1 of it extends the duration that you can keep a Wirebug. I feel like this works really, really well because if you can keep that third Wirebug a lot, it means that you can get some more DPS on some of the weapons that utilize Wirebugs or high damage attacks. That could be on the Hunting Horn where you've got the Earthshaker attack. You can get more uptime on that. Or on the longsword where you're trying to do helm breakers and have all that fun and all of that jazz there. And then level 2 gives you wirefall recovery rate, which is an awesome one because if you're being hit and you're just having a mare of a time during a hunt, this will allow you to wirefall back onto your legs and make sure that you are doing just having more of a grand time than just being clapped to the floor and waiting to get back up. And then the last one, which is what we're talking about, and the level 3 slot skill, is it increases your passive recovery rate while on the ground. So while you're on the ground, this will reduce the amount of time that it takes for your Wirebugs to increase, and it will drastically change your playstyle for a lot of the weapons and how effective you are in the hunts as well, because there's a lot of weapons that do rely on this for damage. Paradise, have you utilized like Wirebug Whisperer a lot in your hunts?
So to begin with, I was sort of with the same impression that a lot of people had, that it didn't affect my like silk bug moves, so I probably wasn't going to use it. However, we did some testing and it actually does affect those moves as well, which literally means for certain weapons, not all weapons, and we're not going to go into the nitty-gritty of testing every single different weapon on every single different switch move and whatnot, but for certain weapons where the Silkbind move is a core part of like the DPS rotation, such as like the aerial aim on the bow or the kunai stab on the dual blades that you want to have like really good uptime on, it increases the cooldown on that, which means you can actually end up doing them a little bit faster than someone that doesn't have it, which literally means you essentially have more DPS uptime, you know? Yeah. So I think for certain weapons where you are using those Silkbind switch moves very, very often because they're so damaging, it is going to be a pretty high priority skill for them.
Yeah. I will definitely say something before we get into showing you the skills as well. If we go back to the box, and I just go into the box, I'm going to show you something. You can actually get talismans with a complete full set of Wirebug Whisperer on it as well. So, and it seems like the devs haven't weighted it to be like massively expensive on the rarity level. So with talismans, there's like certain skills such as like attack or critical draw or those skills that you would only get like a level 1 on them or so. Maybe we don't know because we've played so there's so many different permutations, but it's very hard to get above a level 1 in those skills. But for Wirebug Whisperer, it seems like it is freely available and you can get level 3. You can see here that I've got a charm or a talisman that is rarity 4 with Wirebug Whisperer 3. So I'm guessing from that there's probably more permutations of this type of talisman with Wirebug Whisperer on it that allow with like better skills such as attack or an extra slot or something else like crit element or weakness exploit that you can actually get out there if you do get like a decent god roll on it. So you're probably going to have to find that, and where you can work it into your builds and still have the same DPS that you would have without actually like losing out on much DPS from like another like skill or something like that.
100%, and it's a level 2 decoration slot for your like decorations, which is a very precious slot for a lot of very good high priority moves. So you don't really want to be using it in your decorations unless you have to. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for those talismans that roll with like level 3 or even level 2 if that's the best you've got of Wirebug Whisperer. And there's not a lot of armor pieces with it either, so I think it will come down to the talismans. So make sure you do not sell or like just get rid of or recycle these talismans that have Wirebug Whisperer on, because you might regret it for certain weapons.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut to a video showing you guys like the difference in time and how the cooldown affects your abilities, and then we'll get back to you on the other side of that, just showing you how quick it does it. Okay, cool. So now we're back. You're going to see that there was an increase in the time that it has with the person with Wirebug Whisperer level 3 on and the one without. So keep that in mind when you are going out there and making your builds. It's about a 20% decrease with a longsword specifically. It took my cooldown from 20 seconds to actually 16 seconds. So you can see that's a massive gain in terms of your cooldown, and you're going to be able to use it a lot more. So if you're 16 seconds, that's near on using it 4 times a minute, instead of like 3 times a minute on some weapons. So that's a lot more DPS that you can actually do if you were to ultimately, in a perfect conditions, be able to get off every Silkbind attack and hit it every time without using anything else. So there is a different, that is a labbed quote there, so it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen on the hunt, but definitely think about keeping this in your build and trying out different things. In Rise, there seems to be a lot of skills that aren't necessarily straight damage, straight attack skills that do add a lot of utility and might change your playstyle in a different way, where you're not adding straight attack, but you are getting a lot more damage in terms of like staying on the monster or doing it with a different mindset in there. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you particularly use it with?
I was going to say that 4 seconds on the longsword.
Yeah.
I have had several fresh in memory longsword hunts where I can see that my Wirebug is like almost there but not quite, and it's the perfect opportunity because I just hit a counter and I want to go into Helmbreaker and I can't, and that's without Wirebug Whisperer. So I think that there is definitely an increase to your like overall like consistent damage, in that you can always be a little bit more reliant, because that's 4 more seconds of uptime for the longsword specifically. And then you have something like the bow that I've got here, which, you know, that aerial aim attack is so incredibly powerful. So having an extra like couple seconds on your uptime for that is absolutely huge. And it's the same for the dual blades with the kunai stab. But Wirebug Whisperer isn't just buffing those as well. There are times where you'll get hit by a monster and you need to recover, and it just helps across the board with your silk bugs basically. So it just seems like it's a very good skill to have. But the fact that it also buffs those certain Silkbind switch moves that are, for some weapons like the bow or the dual blades or the longsword, very important for your DPS, that it is going to be like just a very good skill to have. And I think people are actually kind of sleeping on it. Maybe they don't even realize that it does this yet, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, that was just like a quick PSA type video just showing you that Silkbind attack, Wirebug Whisperer actually does work with your cooldowns on your Silkbind attacks, and that should be something that you're considering in your builds. If you find or know of any skills that would greatly benefit from using Wirebug Whisperer, then definitely let me know. I'm trying to test out different things and trying to utilize different things in different ways, and both me and Paradise will want to know this because we're trying to find like builds that will allow us to succeed and hunt the monsters as quickly as possible as well. If you have any crazy talismans as well and you just found some crazy RNG talismans, then definitely drop it in the comments down below. And there's some more videos that are happening on Paradise's channel. What videos are you doing over the weekend?
So I've recently had one go out about like some easy beginner playstyles if you wanted to sort of jump onto a different weapon that you're not familiar with, and the sort of basic combo rotation that's really easy to get to grips with without having to learn the whole freaking moveset, you know? Because I think that's quite daunting for a lot of people when it comes to like picking up a new weapon. So that's out. We got some exciting stuff coming after that to do with like farming missions for like resources and stuff like that. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the subs and the likes on the video and the comments and the support that you've shown us since the launch of Rise and the pre-release content that we've actually released. You guys have been absolutely amazing. We're, I think, on 3,300 subs now, which is crazy in terms of like the gain already. Looks like we're well on our way to 4,000. If we can get there, that would be absolutely brilliant. I might give you a little kiss on the cheek, you know, if I get there. So anyway, guys, see you guys later. We'll be back another day, probably tomorrow, with another video, and it will be great. Goodbye.
Bye bye.